Everybody, it's Joan here. So I wanted to talk to you today about diet, especially diet with epilepsy and what I've learned so far. So I'm going to tell you the story of how I came across it and let you know what we had to go through to actually get to where we are now. So Matt was diagnosed when he was 13 years old with epilepsy. And we tried so many drugs that first year to get him to not have multiple seizures, and I mean many seizures in a day. We tried Epival at first, and that was a real bad reaction. It wasn't helping much with his seizures. He was still having them. He took a real bad turn. It went from his mental state went from being his happy, normal, everyday self who was funny and having fun with life and all that stuff to complete opposite and becoming depressed and becoming suicidal, to where when I talked to the doctor about changing his medication, the doctor really wanted to try this because it was the number one that actually works for seizures. But in our case, it was not working for Matt because it was making him suicidal. So I took him off the Epival, and then the doctor had to give me other medication for him. And yes, I know how dangerous it is to just take your child off or take yourself off of medication, but I had no choice. I was working at the time, and he was attempting suicide. So it wasn't that he was just talking about it, which he was like every single day. He was actually attempting it, and I needed to know he was safe while I was at work. So that having that drug was not a good thing. Then we went on to other drugs and other medications for him, and I knew that it's just medication alone was not going to work. So I had to find something else. So I started doing my research and found the ketogenic diet, and I really wanted to try that diet for him because it had such success for people with epilepsy. But the doctor that I had at the time did not want to try it. He wanted to just continue with the drugs, and if the drugs weren't working, we would just put the medication up higher and higher and higher. And we did. So we had him on one medication and Dilantin and another medication, and for the life of me, I can't think of it at the moment. But so he's on 2 different medications by this time, and his seizures were still just happening. So the doctor's advice was just put him up higher and higher and higher, to the point where I looked at my son and I realized that he was overdosing, that the medication he was on was way too high. His body could not handle it. He could not handle it. The seizures were still happening. Something had to be done, and I didn't know what it was. And Mike had actually, around about the same time, met a guy who he talked to about the low-carb diet, which actually worked for his son who had epilepsy, and they reduced his seizures. So we started doing more research on this, which was the low-carb, and almost immediately I had decided that's what we were going to do. So Mike was going to research it more and find out what I was going to put Matt on for a day, on how many carbs and stuff, and I was going to get Matt, who, looking down at his face, I remember it to this day, thinking to myself, I'm killing my son. I'm giving him this medication that is not helping him, and between the seizures and the medication, it's not working, and he is dying. And I was going to get him healthy. So I slowly cut back on the medication he was on. By this time, he barely got out of bed. I had to feed him. I had to give him water. I had to dress him, change him when he had an accident, help him to the bathroom, wash him, and by this time it was sponge baths because he could not move at all, and carrying him was out of the question. And it was too much, this situation that we were in. And so I made a decision. I was going to get him some energy drink things, like the meal in a drink, and although I was feeding him soups and stuff, it wasn't doing what I needed it to do fast. So I really needed a lot of extra vitamins and a lot of extra stuff, because his body was just shutting down, and I could tell in his eyes were all sunk in, and it was just really bad. And so I got the meal supplement drinks, and I started weaning him off of the drugs. And slowly by slowly, he started getting better and better, and we came up with a plan that he was going to be on a low-carb diet for 20 carbs a day. So slowly, I started making my own soups and juices and stuff that he could have that would be low-carb, and I started giving him that and feeding him that. And I had to take time off work to care for him. I couldn't work with him like this, so I had to take a lot of time off work to care for him. And my whole time was spent just caring for him. So I made up my own soups and my own low carb drinks for him, and gave him these drinks and soups, and fed him in his bed, and slowly he got better and better to where he was now functioning. And the seizures had slowed down. I had gotten his medication way down to where he was actually able to communicate again, and actually able to physically do stuff. When we went to see the doctor that I had at the time, he asked me what I was doing, because Matt looked so much better. His color came back. He looked more energized, and I told him, I said, I put him on a low-carb diet. Well, he got scared and worried, and I also told him that I cut back on his medication, and his seizures were doing way better. And he got upset and wanted me to see a nutritionist, who, of course, does not believe in the low-carb diet, and it worked. It was working, so whatever, I don't care. My son almost died, and then we went to low-carb. When they did this, just after that, about 6 months, maybe a year after that, I had gone to a neurologist in Vancouver, and they had taken all the tests again to see where he was, and they found out that from having it all through his brain was the seizure activity. It had gone to a small portion of the brain, and the only thing different that I had done was put him on a low-carb diet. Since then, we've tried many different diets, because we want him to bulk out again, because if you stay on the low-carb diet for too long, you lose a lot of weight with the low-carb diet. It does work. It helps with seizures. It helps with losing weight, but you do have to watch, how much weight you lose. And of course, with the seizures and with the medication, that also creates weight loss as well. So we had to find something else. So we tried paleo, which also helped, and we also, right now, we are on gluten-free. Now, I think wheat has a lot to do with seizure activity. If you just do anything and you cut out all the wheat products, all of the wheat that you're eating, and see how that might help you, you may find that it has helped you completely on your on your seizure activity. Sorry, my brain went for a sec. On your seizures, on when you're eating food. A lot of people don't realize that disease has a lot to do with what you're eating as well. It has a lot to do with emotional, with what you're putting in your body emotionally, but it also has to do with what you are eating. So look at what you're eating, find out, can you get off wheat? Try it for a month. It's not going to hurt you to be off wheat for a month. So try that and see if that works. Try the low carb diet. You don't have to stay on it forever. Just try it for a month. You will know. I knew right away that it was helping Matt, because it was almost instantly that his seizures started to lessen when he was on the low carb when we first did it. But if you don't want to try low carb, try gluten-free. Try gluten-free and see what that does. Just stay away from wheat and find out what it does. You might be pleasantly surprised on what your body, what happens to your body when you stay off wheat. It really helped us with Matt, and I really recommend it especially for epilepsy. That's what I notice. I know for a lot of different diseases too, but I know for a fact with epilepsy that this has helped. Diet is important. And even if you don't want to go on a diet, just watch what you eat, because it's so important for you. Make an amazing day, everybody. I hope this helped you. And if you like, subscribe. I'll have more videos for you on helpful things to do for epilepsy and seizures. And like this video, share it if it helped you, because maybe it'll help someone else. Make an amazing day, everybody.